Sony's new, slimmer PlayStation 5 is smaller but also weirder. The benefits of Sony's new PS5 are mostly few and far between, even if a somewhat smaller console is a welcome change. From some angles, it really feels like an ugly competition. I've always had a soft spot for Sony's refreshed, slimmed-down consoles ever since the adorable PS1. All the Sony consoles I've owned were launch versions that are bigger and goofier looking than their eventual redesigns, giving me massive FOMO. But I think my love affair for slim PlayStations is now at an end with the new PlayStation 5. If there's ever been a PlayStation in need of a glow-up, it's the PS5. Sony's white and black obelisk is a gargantuan console with a design that you learn to live with more than you grow to love. The thought of course-correcting the PS5 design like Sony did with the George Foreman grill-style PlayStation 3 should be a slam dunk. But what we've now got with the $499.99 new PlayStation 5 and $449.99 new PlayStation 5 Digital Edition are some weird half measures. Design-wise, the new slim PS5 is indeed smaller. Sony says it's been reduced in volume by more than 30%, but up close and in person, I alternate between feelings of, oh yeah, that's much smaller, to okay, it's smaller, but it's still a big boy. The swooping curves and contours of the new PS5 can have you changing your opinion on its design on a minute-to-minute basis, depending on what angle you're viewing it from. It's a byproduct of such a fussy and busy, and frankly, kind of ugly, design. The Slim looks more refined than its bigger, clunkier older sibling thanks to its shorter white covers, concave top curve, and panel lines cutting across its sides that divide shiny and matte finishes. However, the new PS5 also makes some really strange design decisions. The disk drive looks even more like a strange growth jutting out of the console side. The lack of vent fins at the top makes its gaps look prototypish or incomplete, and the cat ear-shaped feet for propping it up horizontally are a joke for an included stand. The console stands vertically on its own. Though, if you want more peace of mind that it won't tip over, the vertical stand is now an additional purchase for $29.99. The original PS5 had a convertible stand for both horizontal and vertical positions. But the new PS5 at least has a little more going for it than just Sony's strange design choices. It now has 1 terabyte of built-in storage, up from 825 gigabytes on the original, and 2 front-facing USB-C ports instead of 1 USB-C and 1 USB-A. The only other tangible benefit is that the location of the removable disk drive's eject button means we can finally stop mixing up the power and eject buttons that have looked way too similar since the PS4 days. As for the removable disk drive, I'll hand it to Sony for making it easy to detach or attach the drive without any tools. It's even easier than adding an M.2 SSD to the PS5, which is thankfully still possible. But I'm also left asking, why? Sure, someone with buyer's remorse over their digital edition PS5 can simply get a disk drive and add it on themselves, but they'll end up paying more in the process since the digital edition now costs $449.99, and the drive add-on runs $79.99. And setting up the disk drive requires an internet connection, as was first reported last month, even if the disk drive came attached to your console. Setting up your console with no internet? That may be unlikely for most people, but if you're in that situation, you won't be able to play anything until you at least connect once to Sony's servers. You're even given a warning that factory resetting your console requires an internet connection to properly unpair the disk drive, which raises the question of what happens if you sell or buy a second-hand drive that wasn't unpaired. I've reached out to Sony with several questions about drive pairing and will update this post if I hear back. I don't see how this glorified DRM benefits anyone, and it may lead to some messiness when it comes to preservation many years down the road. The PS5 Slim's disk drive wonkiness, combined with some of its stranger design decisions, makes it a somewhat confusing mid-cycle refresh. Aside from its smaller size, modest storage upgrade, and rearranged port selection, this update seems like it's doing more for Sony than its customers by getting them to pay more via accessories. If you own an original PS5, there's hardly any reason to upgrade, and if you're buying today, there's really no harm in going with that fat PS5, at least until the Slim becomes the only option. Sony releases PlayStation 5 Slim. Here's where to buy the new console online. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Billboard may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. While the original PlayStation 5 was released back in November 2020, Sony just released a new generation refresh of the gaming console, which drops on Friday, November 10th. Priced at $499 at Walmart and $499.99 at Amazon and Target, the new PS5 Slim has just about the same specs and features as the previous model, such as 4K gaming with HDR, high dynamic range, Picture quality for vivid colors and deep black levels, up to 120 frames per second, with 120 Hz output for buttery smooth action, backwards compatibility with PS for games, and more. However, it's more than 30% smaller by volume and 18% lighter. The new Sony console comes with 4 USB ports, 2 front-facing USB-C and 2 rear USB-A, for expansion, inputs and peripherals, as well as HDMI out and Ethernet ports. It also includes 1 TB of onboard storage, which is increased from the previous model's 825 GB SSD solid-state drive. Inside of the box, you'll find a Sony PS5 DualSense wireless controller, an HDMI cable and an AC power cable. While it comes with a horizontal stand, it doesn't come with a vertical stand, as the photo above would suggest, unfortunately. It's sold separately for an additional $29.99. The new PS5 Slim model is bundled with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 digital download at Target, while Marvel Spider-Man 2 is included with the console at Walmart. And since Modern Warfare 3 and Spider-Man 2 have a $69.99 value each, it's like getting the game for free when you buy the console. The Sony PlayStation 5 Slim model, Disc Edition, bundled with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 or Marvel Spider-Man 2 comes out on Friday, November 10th. It's available for $499 at Walmart and $499.99 at Target.